Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India News Hour, India's voice to the world. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up in the next hour, India and Mauritius to jointly inaugurate new airstrip and a jetty at the Agalega Island in Mauritius. Projects will strengthen connectivity of Agalega with mainland Mauritius and strengthen maritime security. India underscores urgency for restoration of quick dispute redressal at the 13th WTO Ministerial Conference underway in Abu Dhabi. Also extends support as a leader of the Global South for membership to 22 countries. India slams Pakistan for ranking up Jammu and Kashmir at the United Nations. Says Pakistan has no locus standi to pronounce on matters that are internal to India.
To pronounce on matters that are internal to India.
US Supreme Court agrees to hear Donald Trump's criminal immunity plea in April. Also, an Illinois judge puts order on hold after the state becomes the third one to bar Trump from the ballot. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Mauritius Prime Minister Pravind Jugnauth will jointly inaugurate the new airstrip and St. James Jetty at the Agalega Island in Mauritius on Thursday via video conferencing. Both leaders will also inaugurate the 6 community development projects. The projects will fulfill the demand for better connectivity between mainland Mauritius and Agalega Island and will strengthen maritime security and foster socio-economic development in the region. The inauguration of these projects is a testimony to the robust and decades-old development partnership between India and Mauritius. The inauguration is also significant as it follows the recent launch of India's UPI and RuPay card services in Mauritius on 12th of February. Well, for more on this, DDI correspondent Akshay Dongre joins us. Akshay, you've been tracking this news very closely. Now, what's the significance of the new airstrip and St. James Jetty at Agalega Island in Mauritius?
Well, it's significant in terms of connectivity, Siddharth. As far as Agalega Island and the mainland Mauritius is concerned, the distance between these two islands is over 1,000 kilometers, which highlights the significant need of not just of better connectivity, but also air connectivity between these two islands. The Agalega Islands are located more northwards in the Indian Ocean, and the Mauritius mainland is located more towards south. However, the strategic location of both of these islands has become increasingly important, especially given the fact that under the recent months, the maritime trade has been coming under threat by be it piracy or attacks from the Houthi rebels that have been trying to target the ships that have been crossing through Red Sea. The location of Mauritius as a country is extremely important also, given the fact that it is very, very geostrategically located in almost the middle of the Indian Ocean. However, connectivity has always been an issue as far as these islands are concerned. The Agalega Islands have been too far away from the mainland Mauritius, and that's why the inauguration of the airstrip and this jetty that is being done virtually by both the leaders of India and Mauritius will in fact increase the connectivity or enhance the connectivity between these two islands as far as the air as well as sea connectivity is concerned, and that will not just provide better security, but will also enhance tourism in Mauritius as far as the people coming in from all over the world are concerned.
Okay, Akshay, both leaders will also inaugurate the 6 community development projects. Now, in what ways do these projects contribute to enhancing maritime security in the region, which perhaps is the need of the hour?
Well, that's what we have been talking as far as the maritime trade is concerned. As the location of Mauritius is extremely important. It is located literally in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The geostrategic location of Mauritius is extremely important for the entire world as far as the world trade is concerned, because of the fact that most of it travels through the Indian Ocean. It is also the location is also important for the Indo-Pacific nations as well. So that's why this particular project is going to be a big boost to the maritime security. In fact, the airstrip that will be inaugurated from the Agalega Island will be in fact important for Mauritius to in fact conduct better surveillance in the Indian Ocean region with surveillance aircraft that will get now ability to land not just in the mainland Mauritius but also in Agalega Islands, as well as the jetty that has been that will be rather inaugurated today will also provide the country better capability to keep an eye in the waters of the Indian Ocean as far as their exclusive economic zone is concerned, at least. And the other six, the community projects are a testimony to the growing relations between India and Mauritius, and how both of these countries have passed the test of time as far as their connectivity, their relations, their bilateral connections are concerned, both in terms of culture as well as in terms of trade and government to government ties as well. Siddharth.
All right, we leave it there. Thank you so much, Akshay, for that analysis. Well, at the 13th WTO Ministerial Conference in Abu Dhabi, India emphasized the restoration of the appellate body as a top reform priority. The Indian team is being led by Commerce Minister Piyush Goyal. Meanwhile, Brazil's Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira echoed India's call for meeting sustainable development goals. The WTO is hopeful about progress, especially in fishing, agriculture and e-commerce.
The 13th Ministerial Conference of the World Trade Organization is taking place in Abu Dhabi. India has emphatically called for restoration of the appellate body as a topmost priority of any reform process, along with effective formalization of the ongoing informal dispute settlement reform discussions among some members at the WTO.
We've been looking at, and key issues for India is of course fisheries subsidies agreement, which is being negotiated now. So there was already a partial agreement reached in the last ministerial in 2022, but what we are now discussing are subsidies for overcapacity and overfishing. So for India there are key considerations, and we know the government of India is fighting on these.
Echoing sentiments shared by India and other developing nations, Brazil's Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira underscored the significance of meeting sustainable development goals and addressing pressing global challenges such as reducing inequalities, poverty and hunger.
Promoting a sustainable development too. For all that, we need technology. Those we do not have, so transfer of technology is very important. And we also express the same feeling from other developing countries, not only in our region, but in other continents too.
The WTO is optimistic about advancements, especially regarding fishing, agriculture and electronic commerce during its Abu Dhabi Ministerial Conference. With Vinod Kumar in Abu Dhabi, Bureau Report, DD India.
And extending its support as a leader of the Global South, India's Union Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal said that 22 more countries have applied for WTO membership, and India will take a sympathetic view of their demands and will support them. Speaking on the sidelines of WTO Ministerial Conference, the minister stated that the issues based on nations and world's interest raised at the conference.
हमारे इश्यूज एकदम टेबल पे हैं और हम जो इश्यूज रेज करते हैं बहुत सोच समझ के और देश हित और दुनिया के हित में रेज करते हैं. भारत वसुधैव कुटुंबकम की भावना से बात करते हैं WTO में. हमने जो G20 में माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी ने विश्व को नेतृत्व किया था, वन अर्थ, वन फैमिली, वन फ्यूचर, वो आज भी भारत के लिए कायम है. और हम विश्व में जो गरीब देश हैं, लेस डेवलप्ड नेशंस हैं, जो डेवलपिंग विकासशील देश हैं, उनके विषयों पे भारत अवश्य चिंता करता है और उनके विषयों के ऊपर हम तीव्रता से अपनी बात रखते हैं.
And addressing a press conference on the sidelines of WTO's 13th Ministerial Conference in Abu Dhabi, the Additional Secretary to the Ministry of Commerce, Piyush Kumar, expressed satisfaction over the fact that the WTO conference has able to raise the concerns of least developed countries and developing countries.
One thing which is important and which I think will go down in the history of WTO Ministerial Conference will be that this has been a pro-LDC and developing countries conference. जैसे after 2016 पहली बार membership में दो LDCs countries का शामिल होना और number जो बढ़ा है 166. That is a major achievement of this ministerial conference MT13, which we have been hailing, and we have also told the chair of the 13th conference.
All right, let's take a look at other stories making news. The first edition of Festival of Bharat Lok Sangeet Arunachal Utsav 2024 is underway in India's northeastern state of Arunachal Pradesh. The festival showcases the vibrant tapestry of cultural heritage of the region. The program also offers captivating traditional and folk performances pertaining to the diverse states of India, including Arunachal Pradesh. The event has been organized as a part of Ek Bharat Shresht Bharat initiative. A village in India's Uttar Pradesh is becoming a center of attraction because of the peacocks in the village. The Koni village in the Gorakhpur district has more peacocks than humans. The village has also earned the name of Peacock Village. Every house in the Koni village is adorned with peacock feathers. When a peacock dies, the local perform the burial in a ceremonial manner. The state forest officials have also named the village as Bird Garden. NTPC Green Energy Limited, a wholly owned subsidiary of National Thermal Power Corporation, has signed a joint venture agreement with Maharashtra State Power Generation Company Limited to develop renewable energy parks in Maharashtra. The venture will develop gigawatt-scale renewable energy parks. The agreement aligns with the green energy objectives of Government of India for energy transition. Indian businessman and Bharti Enterprises chairman Sunil Bharti Mittal has become the first Indian citizen to receive an honorary knighthood from United Kingdom's King Charles III. The award grants Mr. Mittal the title of Knight Commander of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, recognizing his contributions to fostering stronger business ties between India and the UK. The Indian Army has installed a 104 feet tall national flag near the line of control in the Titwal area of Kupwara district in India's Jammu and Kashmir. The flag, which is less than 100 meters from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir, has been named as Azmat-e-Hind. And still to come on DD India News Hour. Bharat Tex 2024, a global textile mega event showcasing India's rich heritage and sustainable industry. By-elections in England for a parliamentary seat after the previous lawmaker who represented the opposition Labour Party succumbed to leukemia in January. US Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is due to testify to Congress today.
The curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
Curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Well, you're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. Coming up next is Bharat Tex 2024, a global textile mega event showcasing India's rich heritage and sustainable industry. For more insights and demos from this iconic platform, let's take a look at Sujata Lochab's report.
Bharat Tex 2024, a global textile extravaganza currently captivating global audiences in New Delhi.
Well, the global market is affected by Indian textiles because they're absolutely amazing. We love the handicrafts.
Bharat Tex 2024 is more than just a trade show. It's a dynamic, international industry platform showcasing exhibitions, knowledge sessions and thought-provoking thematic discussions. Government-to-government G2G, business-to-business B2B networks. With more than 3,500 brands showcasing over 10,000 textile products, this exhibition has attracted over 3,000 buyers from across the globe.
Last day was very nice and very good. There was more than 4 or 5 number of customers had visited, which we have receiving for future good orders. They have given us a number of samples, requirement styles.
The event has gone beyond the traditional exhibition format with dedicated pavilions on sustainability and recycling. The exhibition boasts sustainable fashion practices, promoting environment-friendly methods for fabric-to-fiber extraction.
I am here in Bharat Tex, displaying the low material impact materials, with one of the material, which is Himalayan grass, grown in Uttarakhand. And one of the things that it is not using any agricultural land. It grows on the barren lands and providing livelihood to the local peoples in Uttarakhand, women especially.
And also promotes eco-friendly packaging methods.
Yes, we have had good experience. People have walked in, good number of walk-ins. And moreover, we had interaction with few people who are really interested in the product, and this actually helped us.
There are interactive fabric testing zones and master classes by craftspersons with rich traditions spanning over 3 generations.
इलेक्ट्रॉनिक हैंडलूम है, ये बहुत इजी होता है किसी भी वीवर्स को बीनना.
With India's rich heritage in textile, Bharat Tex 2024 aims to highlight and strengthen its image as a custodian of tradition, innovation and sustainability.
Textile value chain के सभी elements को 5F के सूत्र से एक दूसरे से जोड़ रहे हैं. ये 5F की यात्रा फार्म, फाइबर, फैक्ट्री, फैशन और फॉरेन, एक प्रकार से पूरा दृश्य हमारे सामने है. 5F के इसी सिद्धांत को ध्यान में रखते हुए हम किसान, बुनकरों, एमएसएमई, एक्सपोर्ट सभी को प्रोत्साहित कर रहे हैं.
Bharat Tex 2024 is being hosted at 2 iconic convention centers that is at Bharat Mandapam and Yashobhumi in New Delhi, offering state-of-the-art infrastructure.
BharatTex 2024 is a mega textile event which promises to embody seamless fusion of Indian textile heritage along with innovation and technology, further cementing its position as a global textile event. With camera person Sunny and Alok, I Sujata Lojab reporting for DD India.
Well, in a befitting reply to Pakistan, India stated that Pakistan has institutionalized the systematic persecution of its own minorities and has a truly abysmal human rights record. Commenting on India, which is demonstrably making great strides in achieving economic progress and social justice, is not merely ironical but perverse. Exercising the right of reply at the high-level segment of the 55th regular session of the UN Human Rights Council on Wednesday, First Secretary Anupama Singh slammed Pakistan over terrorism and said Pakistan has no right to comment on India as its own hands are soaked in the red of the bloodshed from terrorism.
With regard to the extensive references to India made by Pakistan, we note that it is deeply unfortunate for the Council's platform to have once again been misused to make patently false allegations against India. We will make only 3 points. 1. The entire Union territories of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh are an integral and inalienable part of India. Pakistan has no locus standi to pronounce on matters that are internal to India. 2. A country that has institutionalized the systemic persecution of its own minorities and has a truly abysmal human rights record, commenting on India, which is demonstrably making great strides in achieving economic progress and social justice, is not merely ironical but perverse. 3. A country that hosts and even celebrates UNSC-sanctioned terrorists, commenting on India, whose pluralistic ethos and democratic credentials are exemplars for the world, is a contrast for everyone to see. We cannot pay any further attention to a country that speaks while being soaked in red. The red of the bloodshed from the terrorism it sponsors around the world, the red of its debt-riddled national balance sheets, and the red of the shame its own people feel for their government having failed to serve their actual interests.
Slamming Turkey, Anupama Singh said that the country should refrain from making any unsolicited comments on internal matters of India.
India is exercising its right of reply in response to references to India during the high-level segment. Firstly, we regret the comment made by Turkey on a matter that is an internal affair of India and hope that it would refrain from making unsolicited comments on our internal matters in future.
Well, to get more details on this, we have DDI correspondent Amritpal Singh joining us on the phone line. Amrit, India said that Pakistan institutionalized systematic persecution of its own minorities and has an abysmal record. What latest are you getting for us?
Well, the Indian diplomat you heard saying it's a truly abysmal record. She was speaking at the 55th Human Rights Council session of the UN or the United Nations in Geneva, exercising India's right to reply after both Turkey and Pakistan raised the issue of Jammu and Kashmir on the platform. Anupama Singh, the Indian diplomat, rejected Pakistan's allegations, as you said, that its own track records on human rights are truly abysmal. And then she, also warned Turkey for unsolicited comments and saying that Kashmir, J&K is an internal matter of India and Turkey should refrain from commenting on internal matters of India. Basically, she was very vitriolic when it came to Pakistan, where she said that it was soaked in 3 reds, mainly the red of bloodshed from terrorism that she says Pakistan sponsors around the world, the red of its debt-riddled national balance sheets, and the red of the shame of its own people that they feel for their government having failed to serve their actual interests. And therefore, they have no locus standi to comment on India's internal matters and use the UNHRC's platform or the UN platform to raise unsubstantiated allegations against India as J&K and Ladakh are an integral and unalienable part of India. And the constitutional measures taken by the Indian government to ensure socio-economic development and good governance are matters internal to India. And secondly, when she referred to as a country, Pakistan as a country which institutionalized systematic persecution of its own minorities, she highlighted the incidents of persecution against the minorities in Pakistan, especially the Christian minorities. In August last year, if you remember, the Jaranwala issue or the incident where 19 churches were gutted and 89 Christian houses were burnt. So she also highlighted that it's the same country which is not only giving playing host to, but also shielding and sponsoring UNSC designated terrorists in that country. And so she said, therefore, Pakistan is a country where it is not free of an atmosphere of terrorism, and India has been consistently saying that atmosphere free of terrorism and hostilities is critical to having normal ties with Pakistan. Even as the country is struggling with various financial troubles, such as a high depreciation of its currency, inflation, and its decreasing forex reserves, and of course the shaky democracy that, or whatever semblance of democracy that they have, if it can be called one.
All right.
Commenting on the internal matters of another country.
All right. We leave it there. Thank you so much, Amritpal Singh, for your analysis. And now Indian Minister of Consumer Affairs and Food Piyush Goyal shares a picture on X of the fresh pomegranates ready to export to the US. The Indian minister also called the pomegranates as a gift of taste and health to the US. India has begun commercial export of pomegranates to the US after it lifted the export ban in 2022. The government expects this move to open a big market for the Indian pomegranates, a fruit which is being increasingly preferred by consumers across the world for its health benefits. Time now for some international news. The US Supreme Court on Wednesday agreed to decide Donald Trump's claim of immunity from prosecution for trying to overturn his 2020 election loss. This has given him a boost as he tries to delay criminal prosecutions while running to regain the presidency. The justices put on hold the criminal case being pursued by special counsel Jack Smith. They will also review a lower court's rejection of Trump's claim of immunity from prosecution because he was president when he took actions. The Supreme Court set the case for oral argument during the week of April 22 on a single question: whether, and if so, to what extent does a former president enjoy presidential immunity from criminal prosecution for conduct alleged to involve official acts during his tenure in office. Trump, the first former president to be criminally prosecuted, is the front runner for the Republican nomination to challenge Biden, a Democrat, in the November 5 US election. Trump, in a post on his social media platform, hailed the Supreme Court's decision to hear his immunity claim. In a surprise move, a Cook County judge on Wednesday ordered the state election board to remove former President Donald Trump from Illinois' March 19 primary ballot because of his role in the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. Though the decision is delayed from taking effect in light of an expected appeal by the former U.S. president, Judge Tracy Porter's decision comes amid national debate over whether Trump is disqualified from the presidency because of his actions related to the January 6, 2021 attack on U.S. Capitol and whether that attack amounted to an insurrection. Colorado and Maine earlier removed Trump from their state ballots after determining he is disqualified. Both decisions are on hold while Trump appeals. The final outcome of the Illinois case and similar challenges will likely be decided by the U.S. Supreme Court, which heard arguments related to Trump's ballot eligibility on February 8. On to updates related to Russia-Ukraine conflict. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky tried to build further support for Kyiv among southeastern European countries as he co-hosted two-day summit with Albanian government. He put forth his vision of peace in Ukraine and of joint arms production. Zelensky proposed organizing a Ukrainian Balkans Defense Forum in Kyiv or a Balkan capital to nurture arms cooperation, just like it conducted with UK and US weapons companies last year. The summit in the Albanian capital Tirana comes as Kyiv is trying to improve its defensive capabilities to fight Russian forces at a time of faltering US support. And voters are going to the polls on Thursday in another by-election for a parliamentary seat in England. This one was called after the previous lawmaker who represented the opposition Labour Party died of leukemia in January. It looks set to be another major defeat for the governing Conservative Party, but unlike previous recent by-elections, that won't mean a Labour win, as party felt compelled to rescind their endorsement of their candidate following a last-minute scandal. Stuart Smith reports from London.
This by-poll, or by-election as it's known in the UK, is the third in 2 weeks. It's happening in Rochdale, part of northern England's largest city, Manchester. While the result won't change much for the governing Conservative Party, their candidate is highly unlikely to do well. However, the opposition Labour Party's initial choice, Azhar Ali, lost the party's backing after making anti-Semitic comments blaming Jewish media executives for critical coverage of pro-Palestine lawmakers. Before that, he was caught on tape claiming Israel deliberately weakened security before the October 7th massacre to give them a green light to attack Hamas in Gaza, a comment he later apologised for. Those controversies forced Labour to drop him, but too late for a replacement candidate to be nominated instead due to electoral rules. It now means the frontrunner in the by-election is not from any of the major parties. Azhar Ali is still predicted to win significant support, but is no longer representing the Labour Party. And the new frontrunner is an ex-Labour lawmaker called George Galloway, who became a thorn in the Labour Party's side for decades for taking stances consistently more extreme than party policy and making a name for himself as a controversial outsider. But he's maintained a strong pro-Palestinian stance, and in a constituency with a strong Muslim presence, he could clinch the seat to return to Parliament as an MP for the first time since 2015. Stuart Smith in London, reporting for DD India.
All right, still to come on DD India News Hour. US Space Lander team says their mission has changed the economics of landing on the moon. Thailand's northern provinces facing toxic smog, ranking among the world's top 10 most polluted cities. Wildfire in Texas has scorched 500,000 acres, causing damage and destruction across the northeast of Amarillo.
The curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
All right, you're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj, and let's have a look at the headlines once again. India and Mauritius to jointly inaugurate new airstrip and a jetty at the Agalega Island in Mauritius. Projects will strengthen connectivity of Agalega with mainland Mauritius and strengthen maritime security. India slams Pakistan for raking up Jammu and Kashmir at the United Nations, says Pakistan has no locus standi to pronounce on matters that are internal to India. US Supreme Court agrees to hear Donald Trump's criminal immunity plea in April. Also, an Illinois judge puts order on hold after the state becomes the third one to bar Trump from the ballot. And U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin is due to testify to Congress today about his secret hospitalization. Lawmakers are set to ask him about why he waited 3 days to alert top officials after he went to hospital in January for complications from prostate cancer surgery. DD India's Kate Fisher reports from Washington.
Well, at the time, the scandal provoked criticism and calls for Secretary Austin's resignation from members of both parties. President Biden called the decision a lapse in judgment. Secretary Austin was admitted to hospital on January the 1st after he experienced complications from prostate cancer surgery that he'd had days earlier. But his aides did not tell the White House until January the 4th. He also didn't inform the president or other top officials about the cancer diagnosis that he'd received in early December until January the 9th, and that was just hours before officials at Walter Reed National Military Medical Center actually released that information publicly. Well, Lloyd Austin has apologized to the president, his colleagues and the American people for, he says, not properly communicating his cancer diagnosis and treatment, and he says that he takes full responsibility for that. But on Thursday, he faces questions from lawmakers for the first time after the House Armed Services Committee Chairman Mike Rogers launched a formal inquiry into this incident last month. The Pentagon and the Defense Department's Inspector General are conducting internal reviews, and defense officials have said that the department has already instituted some changes in procedure since the incident. In Washington, Kate Fisher reporting for DD India.
And Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk will meet protesting farmers' leaders on Thursday as demonstrations continued across the country. Ukrainian officials recently had lengthy talks with their Polish counterparts to tackle the border disruptions triggered by the protests. Ukraine said there have been no question of closing the joint border. Farmers across Europe have been protesting against constraints placed on them by EU regulations meant to tackle climate change as well as rising costs. They say that there is unfair competition from outside the EU, particularly Ukraine. Well, the Israeli military released a video on Wednesday showing strikes on Hezbollah targets in southern Lebanon. The purported strikes on targets in Yarain and Bin Jbeil, both towns close to Israeli border, came after Hezbollah ally Hamas said it launched 2 missile salvos from southern Lebanon into northern Israel. An Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said on Wednesday that Hamas's aim was to take pressure off its fighters in Gaza by forcing Israel to shift security resources to Jerusalem and the West Bank. Gallant's statement on Wednesday came after Hamas called on Palestinians to march to Jerusalem's Al-Aqsa Mosque at the start of Ramadan. Al-Aqsa, in Jerusalem's Old City, one of the world's holiest sites for Muslims and the most sacred for Jews, has long been a flashpoint for potential violence, particularly during religious holidays. Israel has said it may set limits to worship at Al-Aqsa during Ramadan, according to its security needs. Many Palestinians reject any such restrictions on their access to the site. Meanwhile, there is no breakthrough yet in the peace talks in Qatar.
העליון של חמאס בעת הזאת היא לגרום לכך שבהר הבית תהיה התלקחות, וכתוצאה מכך אנחנו נאלץ להסיר חלק מהלחץ ממנו ולהפנות משאבים וכוחות לכיוון יהודה ושומרון וירושלים. את זה אסור לנו לתת לו. מצד אחד אנחנו פועלים כנגד גורמי טרור, ומצד שני חובתנו לאפשר את חופש הפולחן, ואני חושב שאנחנו נגיע להסדרה המתאימה שתאפשר את זה.
And the United States is considering airdropping aid from into Gaza as land deliveries become increasingly difficult. Earlier on Tuesday, Jordan also airdropped aid into the Gaza, which King Abdullah joined crews on board a Jordanian Air Force plane. Axios, which first reported the U.S. was considering airdrops, cited American officials to be saying that aid airdrops will have a limited effect, since a military plane can only drop the amount of supplies equivalent to the transported by 1 or 2 trucks. Meanwhile, Israel's Deputy UN Ambassador Jonathan Miller said that Israel is committed to improving the humanitarian situation in Gaza and that the quantity and pace of aid depended on the capacity of the UN and other agencies. A wildfire in Texas has scorched 500,000 acres since Monday, causing damage and destruction across the northeast of Amarillo. The Texas A&M Forest Service reported injuries or deaths, no reported, but several smaller wildfires are burning other parts of the northern panhandle. Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration for 60 counties and directed the Texas Division of Emergency Management to activate over 95 firefighters as well. As of Wednesday, over 13,000 Texas homes and businesses were without power, with over 4,000 in the Panhandle region alone. Italian firefighters have successfully rescued dozens of stranded people in Montebello after heavy rains in the north caused flash floods. Authorities raised the alert level for potential extreme weather events on February 26, anticipating exceptional rainfall in the days following. 7 stranded people were airlifted to safety. Brazil, Venezuela and Bolivia experienced the highest carbon emissions in February 2024 for 21st consecutive month, according to the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Service. The Amazonian state of Roraima in Brazil experienced high wildfire intensity with estimated emissions of 4.1 and 5.2 megatons respectively. Drought conditions and heat waves in these regions contributed to the high number of fires. While Thailand's northern provinces are facing toxic smog, with Chiang Mai ranking among the world's top 10 most polluted cities. The city's provincial seat, Chiang Mai, is shrouded in smoke haze, making it difficult to see the iconic Doi Suthep Mount. The city has identified 13 pollution hotspots. The high PM 2.5 levels are under investigation to determine if they originate from local sources or drift across borders from neighboring Myanmar. Recent northwesterly events also contribute to the issue. The team behind a US space lander says their mission has changed the economics of landing on the moon. Speaking on Wednesday, representatives from Intuitive Machines and NASA said the Odysseus lander will be put to sleep before being powered up again in the next 2 to 3 weeks. Last week, it became the first privately developed spacecraft to soft land on the lunar surface. Sally Patterson has more.
The CEO of Intuitive Machines, which created the Odysseus moonlander, called the past week's mission a daunting journey. Stephen Altimus says his company had overcome many engineering challenges to make the mission a success. The space lander, affectionately referred to as Odie, managed to touch down on the moon gently and with precision, according to its creators. But it tipped over during its landing near the moon's south pole. And earlier this week, the company said the mission would be cut short. Intuitive Machines, though, called the mission a success, pointing to the steady stream of data it's been sending back to Earth for controllers to analyse. All of the payloads on board, both commercial and NASA pieces of equipment, were functional. The briefers said all the commodities, such as helium and power, brought for the mission had been used up. The company says it's changed the economics of landing on the moon and kicked open the door for many more missions in the future. That includes sending human explorers back to the moon. The company acknowledged that though this was a US landing, it was a truly global effort. The team worked with NASA and also with countries around the world, including India, to make the mission possible. That included using antenna dishes and also in the supply chain. Sally Patterson in New York, reporting for DD India.
And let's take a look at other stories making news around the world. Rapper Johnny and K-pop band Illit were guests at Paris Fashion Week events, where Acne Studios and Balmain launched their fall 2024 runway shows. Former basketball player Tony Parker, French singer Aya Nakamura, Brazilian model Alessandra Ambrosio and actress Camille Razat also appeared. Paris Fashion Week began on February 26 and will conclude on March 5 with the Louis Vuitton runway. Queen Camilla hosted a reception for participants and guests of the 500 World's National Children's Story Writing Competition at Buckingham Palace. The contest, which attracted nearly 44,000 entries, aimed to encourage children aged 5 to 7 and 8 to 11 to write stories using 500 words or fewer. Mexico City residents are experiencing constant fear due to microquakes causing damage to homes, buildings and streets in Mixcoc and Plateros neighborhoods since 2023. Between December 2023 and January 2024, 23 earthquakes occurred in these areas. Researchers from UNAM's Institute of Engineering are investigating the fault's origins. And still to come on DD Indian News Hour. Another deadline looming for US Congress to agree on government spending. In sports, the Indian Cricket Board BCCI drops Indian batsmen Ishan Kishan and Shreyas Iyer from central contracts lists. It's 29th February today. Did it stir your rationale? Stay with us as we decode for you the anomaly of a leap year.
Curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
You're watching DD Indian News Hour. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj. There's another deadline looming for Congress to agree on government spending before the weekend. Democratic and Republican leaders in the US Congress have been holding closed-door talks to try and reach an agreement, which now they claim, or they have aiming for budget deal to avert a partial shutdown amidst the Friday deadline. Caroline Malone reports from Washington.
If an agreement isn't made by March 1st, there will be a partial shutdown of the government, with implications for some public services and federal employees. At the end of last year, Congress agreed on short-term spending bills, with 4 of them due to expire at the end of Friday. That's impacting the Departments of Development, Agriculture, Energy, Veterans, Transportation and Housing. And another 8 spending agreements are due to expire at the end of March 8th. Well, Republicans want more consideration for conservative policies, including those on abortion and border issues. They also want to get rid of some of the Biden administration's policies, such as on climate change. The lack of agreement, though, in Congress is also impacting spending for Ukraine, Israel and the Indo-Pacific. The Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said this week that it's the fault of the House Republicans, who he says need more time to sort themselves out. House Speaker Mike Johnson has said, though, that there are new requests being considered from the Democrats, and that's getting in the way. But if talks fall apart, there could still be a shutdown. At this stage, it would not affect the budgets for Social Security and Medicare, which is the federal health coverage. But it could affect up to 100,000 federal workers, many of whom work and live around the capital. Caroline Malone in Washington for DD India.
US stocks closed lower on Wednesday, a day ahead of key inflation reading that could influence expectations for that interest rate cut timings by the Federal Reserve. The Personal Consumption Expenditures Price Index, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, is expected to show prices ticked 0.3% higher on a monthly basis in January. Stocks have struggled to retain upward momentum in recent days leading up to the data after a lengthy rally peaked last week on enthusiasm around the potential for artificial intelligence after Nvidia reported quarterly earnings. The S&P 500 slipped 0.17%, losing 8.42 points to end at 5,069.76 points, while the Nasdaq Composite lost 0.55%, losing 87.56 points to close at 15,947.74. The Dow Jones Industrial Average slipped 0.06%, falling 23.39 points to closed at 38,949.02.
economic front, we're keeping an eye on inflation data, which comes out tomorrow. So we're going to receive the PCE deflator, and the Fed's preferred measure is what's known as the core PCE deflator. Just a couple of weeks ago, we received the consumer price index. That number came in hotter than expected, meaning inflation is still a problem. And so I think that's just made tomorrow's report that much more important, because we know, and we've been hearing from members of the Fed in recent weeks, that it is too early to declare victory. And so now all of a sudden we've seen the market really come to grips with reality that before they were pricing in expectations for several rate cuts in 2024.
French Finance Minister Bruno Le Maire has voiced his support for the second term of Kristalina Georgieva as Managing Director of the International Monetary Fund, or IMF. Brazilian officials hosting the two-day meeting in Sao Paulo sought to focus talks on economic cooperation to tackle issues such as climate change and poverty. On the sidelines of the G20 summit on Wednesday, Le Maire praised Kristalina Georgieva for the great job she has been doing, and also said it made sense to keep Georgieva in the top job at the global lender. Georgieva's five-year term ends on September 30th.
I just want to emphasize that Kristalina Georgieva is doing a great job as Managing Director of the IMF. And when you have someone doing a great job, it's always better to keep the same person at the same post.
You're watching DD India News Hour. Time now for sport. And in a big move, the Indian Cricket Board BCCI on Wednesday dropped Indian middle order batsman Shreyas Iyer and wicketkeeper Ishan Kishan from its annual central contracts list 2023-24. The national body removed Iyer and Kishan from the central contract list, despite both of them featuring in India's ODI World Cup campaign last year. The duo were excluded after ignoring the directive from the BCCI to play the Ranji Trophy. There were many speculations about the duo being dropped. Ishan Kishan took a break midway into India's tour of South Africa, after which he was not picked for the T20I series against Afghanistan and the Test series against England. Shreyas Iyer recently excused himself from a Ranji Trophy game of Mumbai due to a back issue. Meanwhile, among the other players, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Jasprit Bumrah and Ravindra Jadeja figured in the A+ category. On to the Khelo India University Games now. Chandigarh University beat the top seed Jain University 3-1 to clinch the men's badminton team gold, while Adamas University bagged the women's team gold title. Adamas University did not break much sweat in the women's team final, with former national champion Anupama Upadhyay, also a tops development athlete, winning both her singles and doubles matches against Sri Jagdish Prasad JT University. With just one day left for the curtains to come down on the 4th edition of KIUG, Chandigarh University leads the standings with 26 gold, 17 silver and 16 bronze. Lovely Professional University continue to occupy second slot, while Jain University are third. Red Bull's Formula One team boss Christian Horner has been cleared of alleged misconduct towards a female employee, the Austrian energy drink company said on Wednesday. Red Bull launched an independent investigation earlier this month after a female colleague complained about Horner. According to a Red Bull spokesperson, it confirmed that the grievance has been dismissed. Giving the complainant a right of appeal, Red Bull said it was confident that the investigation has been fair, rigorous and impartial. Horner, who's led Red Bull since 2005, denied the allegations and will remain in his role as team principal and chief executive of Red Bull F1. Red Bull has won 6 Constructors' Championships and 7 Drivers' Championships. The new season begins March 2 at the Bahrain Grand Prix. This year, there is an unusual date on your calendar, February 29th, meaning 2024 is the leap year. Let us explore the cause behind such anomaly.
Every 4 years, our calendars undergo a remarkable adjustment, adding an extra day to the month of February. But why? What prompts this temporal anomaly? At the heart of the matter lies the intricate dance between our planets and the Sun. You see, Earth's orbit is not perfectly aligned with the passage of time. It takes approximately 365.25 days for Earth to complete its journey around the Sun, not the neat 365 days we have come to expect. Long ago, the ancient civilizations grappled with this discrepancy, devising various methods to reconcile the solar year with the lunar and seasonal cycles. The Georgian calendar reforms of 1582 introduced the concept of the leap year, stipulating that years divisible by 4 would have an extra day added, that is, February the 29th. To check if a year is a leap year, one can divide the year by 4. If it is fully divisible by 4, it is indeed a leap year. For example, the year 2024, it is fully divisible by 4, hence it is a leap year. This ingenious adjustment ensured that our calendars remain synchronized with the Earth's orbit, preserving the sanctity of timekeeping for generations to come. Today, leap year serves not only as a practical adjustment to our calendars but also as a source of fascination and curiosity. So, as we mark this quadrennial event, let us marvel at the marvels of timekeeping and celebrate the beauty of a world's integrated dance through the cosmos. With camera person Shubham, this is Prasar Bharati for DD India.
Alright, that's all for this edition of DD India News Hour, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Siddharth Bharadwaj from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India News Hour.
Curious case of Julian Assange. The future of lunar exploration. And the biggest snake discovered in the Amazon rainforests. Watch Connecting the Dots every Friday at 8 p.m. IST on DD India.
Voice of a rising aspirational world. Stories of challenges, struggles and accomplishment. A world battling conflict, hunger and poverty. Embracing growth, development, science and technology. A voice of progress, a voice of unity. Watch Voice of the Global South with me, Akshay Dongre, only on DD India.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibilities. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday 8 p.m. only on DD India.